anyone enjoy cover letters at all here? No one, not a single person. Okay. Agree. The absolute worst. Not my favorite. Nope. Nope. Okay. Awesome. Okay. I'm bad at saying things and they're nice. Okay. All right, guys. Hopefully I'm able to change your opinion about them just a little bit. Yeah, they do suck. And writing a cover letter is definitely an art along with resume writing. It doesn't I've seen this over and over again as someone who hires developers in other roles. Sometimes it has nothing to do with your skill. What that resume profile and that cover letter looks like, and once you put particularly developers, once you put them behind a terminal, it's a different story. So I want to tell you guys you're not alone. This is across the board, cover letters. And I want to kind of start off with saying that traditional cover letters are broken, and I'm going to go over some of the do's and don'ts. And I'd love to actually even take your feedback in terms of like if anyone wants to share their cover letter, I'm more than happy to review that at the end as well. So, all right, let's get started. I'm going to share my screen. It's a very short workshop. It should only take us about 30 minutes, and the slides are not as at that long either. So I'm gonna. There's really no fluff in this in this workshop. Um, my screen says it's loading. Can you guys see? Okay, perfect. All right, so hello world. A little bit about me. For those of you that are familiar with me, my name is Navi. I'm the other co-founder here at Mintbean. I'm not as active on Discord as I'd like. Unfortunately, my hands are involved in a lot of other things, and I find Discord is a little bit distracting for my world. But that doesn't mean that I don't see all the great content that you guys produce, all the projects that come out. I kind of want to walk you guys through my journey of how I got here. Some of you might have already heard me talk about it. I spent 4 years doing a finance degree that I absolutely loved. I did a major in finance and minor in marketing, and I thought that I was going to be the best investment banker out there. And this was right when I was doing my degree, right when the global fight. I think I started in 2007. So that's kind of when the financial meltdown happened. And then by the time I graduated, none of the banks were hiring, and I ended up pivoting into corporate finance. I was there for about 6 years. I did various different roles as an analyst. Couldn't figure out why I was so unhappy, and really tried like sticking to the guns and like, no, I need to figure out why this is not working. I enjoyed finance so much in school, it has to stick. And then, after year 6, I was like, okay, time to maybe call it quits and figure out what other things I'm good at. I took a year off and landed at a boot camp. I love boot camps. I'm a former boot camp grad myself. And, I didn't end up going into development, but it was an into this industry. And it just kind of, what it did for me is it opened up how applications are built. It was no longer a black magic box. And, and since then I joined Zero, and from one thing led to another. I started off as a technical project manager because I understood the how applications are built, and then I kind of ended up managing the day-to-day operations of our sister company, Zero Projects, and then ended up as a director of partnerships, and then now a co-founder at Mintbean. So that's my story, and I'd love to tell you guys more if you're interested in hearing more. But that's it for now. We'll get to why we're all here. So cover letters. So before we start, I actually want to open up my chats to just make sure that I'm monitoring any questions that are coming through. So I have my chat open. So before we start into, what a cover letter should look like and what it shouldn't, let's kind of go over what is a cover letter for. So even before I go into introductions or values and goals and qualifications, why, I'd love to hear from some of you of why do you write a cover letter? What are some of your reasons for writing a cover letter? It's required, it's expected. Okay. Because we're supposed to make one. I have a non-traditional background with CAMS because it gives a personal touch. I feel like I have to expand more on experience. I mentioned in my resume, makes a connection with employer, why I want to work there, to say more about myself beyond the resume. Yeah. So I actually really, Kate, that's a really good point. To say more about myself beyond the resume, it's required. Increases chance of your resume being looked at, highlight key points of the employer, to highlight certain accomplishments, relatable experience from my resume that resonates with the job I'm going for, highlight areas of experience that most directly apply to. So these are all great answers, guys. Fantastic. So you should never write a cover letter because it's required. Chances are you're going to end up writing a really shit cover letter if it's a must have. And I really don't like companies when they make that a required field. It should never be a required field. Cover letters should really come from your journey, not because it's a required field. So here's what a cover letter is really for. It's to give an introduction to you. Who are you? Why do you want this job? And when I say who are you, you're building a story. You're building a rapport with the person who's reading your profile. And chances are, guys, the person that is doing resume reviews is a non-technical person. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Values and goals. Why this company? What research have you done on the position or the role? And why are you a good fit? Qualifications. Identify key components from the job description that align with your experience. So this is what a cover letter is for. So common mistakes, besides the obvious, one size fits all. So I've seen this often where people just kind of change the title and the company, and they've built one cover letter and just kind of do a simple change. It's a wall of text. Recruiters on average spend about, honestly, I'm being generous here, 60 seconds on a resume and cover letter before they go on to the next. So if you provide them like something that's this long with like 5 paragraphs, chances are they're not going to read it. It's boring. You haven't excited them. I like these ones. See attached resume. That's not really a cover letter. It doesn't help your resume. You haven't identified anything in your cover letter that is different from your resume. You've kind of just repeated the same concepts and the same experience. You haven't bothered to mention the company at all. It's all about you. And I'm talking like 4 paragraphs of you and like, whether it's your academic background or the projects that you've done or the experience that you've done, you've included nothing about them. Sounds similar, familiar? I see some smiley faces, so. All right. I didn't want to show you guys an example of a really bad resume because I feel like that exists. Like you can Google that and you can see like what a bad cover letter looks like. But I wanted to show you more common mistakes. Like what happened. This is actually somebody from the community that I was actually working with them yesterday, and we were going over their cover letter. And I'm just going to read you guys. I was excited. So, they gave their contact information. It's very formal, to whom it may concern. I was excited to learn about the software engineer new grad position at Monsters Inc. I've obviously deleted names and greatly appreciate you considering me for this role. Having reviewed this position requirements, I believe that I will be a valuable contributor to your organization goals. So I'm 3 sentences deep, and this person has not excited me at all. I am all about inclusion and transparency as well as empowering others. Okay. How? My academic experiences have contributed significantly to the development of my technical, critical thinking, and self-directed learning skills. Again, So I understand that this role was a new grad position role, but this is really like, I could send this up, I could send this cover letter to any company. And when I say that my development of my technical critical thinking and self-directed learning skills have contributed significantly, how? This is pretty much exactly how I start every cover letter. I found a template online and I think this person used the same. Yep. Um, I can make a direct impact utilizing my debugging skills and complex problem solving to find solutions and achieve results. So guys, all of this, like I'm second paragraph deep and I've yet to feel excited about this cover letter, how this person is going to make an impact at my company. In my current role, the circle, a great example of my creative solutions was to conditionally execute a reset based on the previous location in history. Okay, so there's little information here. I look forward to speaking with you further and believe I'll be an asset. So you haven't really identified how you would be an asset. Please take a moment to review my attached resume. Thank you for your time and consideration. It's telling and not showing anything. Absolutely, Lauren. So this is how most people's cover letter looks like. This is the average user. So I kind of wanted to take the average person and show you guys that before diving into how can we fix this and make it a little bit more compelling and not so boring, and provide more details and explain your why. Why are you interested? I'm going to keep talking about this word why, because that's what they want to hear in the cover letter. So, you know, starting with your research is so important. Before you even begin writing, spend some time on the company website, their social media accounts, Twitter feed, employee profiles on LinkedIn. What's the culture like? So, you know, it can, and I've actually given this exercise to a few people, is spend some time on, and this is like, if you don't have a ton of experience on your resume where you can lean on, I've worked for this XYZ company for 2 to 3 years, I want you to write down the projects that you built and the impact that you had on those projects that you built. Like where did the project start? What was the state of the project as you were building it? And where did you leave the project as you left building it? And don't think about it in terms of cover letters and I need to build a cover letter. So this is just an exercise so that you can start thinking in terms of what have I done previously, whether it's in an experience or just projects outside of, you know, especially when you're trying to get that first job. Like, what can I say? And then we'll extract things from the things that, you know, you've worked on. So start with your research. This is so important, guys. I've seen so many people not talk about the company that they're looking to be connected with, right? Like you can search any company and as soon as you land on their website, tells you so many things about them. And then when you land on their social feeds, there's just so much information that you can pull that pulls into your own story. So why this role? Why does this job excite you? What do you bring to the table? Give quantitative reasons why you're qualified. Link personal values that align with company values. So now we're going to go on to the structure. So this is the framework that I've built. So who am I? Keep it brief. So my standard, guys, is this should be like Twitter size. So think of Twitter characters, and a single tweet is 280 characters. I'd say put that down to 250. So who am I should probably be no more than 2 lines. So 250 characters max. Keep it brief. Report, why do you want to work here? Relate your story to them. Like I said, their website is usually a great place to start. LinkedIn, reach out to somebody that is in your network and ask them about said company. Credibility statements and highlights, you know, and this goes into why should they hire you? Relate it to the job description. There's so much content in the job description that you can point back to that, hey, you're looking for this, I have this. You're looking for this, I have built this in said library, in said tool, in said framework. So relate it back to the job description, right? Once you have your, once you have your who am I, this is going to be the same, right? This is going to be the same from job to job. Your credibility statement is going to change from job to job, but your report is really, it's just 2 sentences that you have to change every single time that you're applying to a new job. And then your ask to connect is going to be similar as well. So excited to meet their team, give them ways to connect with you. You can add your calendar, you can let them know that, hey, I'm available on Mondays past 2 p.m., or I'm available from Monday to Friday, Saturday to Sunday. You can call me here, you can tweet me here. Provide different ways that they can reach out to you. Don't just say, oh, I'm looking forward for your connection. Give them your calendar. Um, and then I wanted to provide you guys a template as well that you guys can use from job to job. So hello, name of company. If you can get the name of the hiring manager, even better. So name of like, hey, Navi, as a former veteran or as a former nurse, I truly like find out things about the company. Like if you're applying in healthcare and you pivoted from health, like from a field in healthcare, talk about that story. And then that's your report building. And then your quick breakdown, I did it in a table style, but feel free to, bring your own creativity to this. So you need full stack experience with front end focus. Check out this. So I've made this for people who don't have experience at all, and just linking to projects. But feel free to use your experience in here as well in terms of quantitative, like data that links back to the description. Check out this project I built using React.js, add link. So make this, so when you want to showcase your portfolio pieces, I always, my strategy on this is have 2 or 3 different portfolio pieces that you want to lean on. One portfolio piece is something that's very comprehensive, that is very featureful, that you've like really taken the time to build. And then the other portfolio pieces are maybe something that you were trying in a specific technology, like whether you were dabbling in React hooks, or whether you were testing out a new framework, or a new library, and it doesn't, that portfolio piece doesn't have the same fullness as maybe like your featured piece. And that's kind of how you can relate it to proficiency in JS React. Like, oh, you can check out my work here. You can check out my work here. So it kind of links to that. And then how to reach out to you. I look forward to connecting. You can reach me at following. And then obviously you can also add your schedule and best times to reach the employer. So that's kind of my template. Can these portfolio pieces overlap on your resume? Yes, they can, but I would highlight certain sections. So why, if you're, let's say if you, can you give me an example, Cynthia, of why you would overlap a portfolio piece? Feel free to unmute yourself.
Hi, the last piece I did was the first project that's ever gone live for somebody, instead of just having, because I just graduated from boot camp, and all the other projects are projects that I built while I was at boot camp or after. So I'm pretty proud that this one's actually a real site, and hits all the markers and all that.
Okay. And is this your singular portfolio piece, or do you have other portfolio pieces as well?
I have other portfolio pieces, but they're all they're all live, but they're all, like book a kayaking trip, do all the stuff that you usually do in boot camps.
Okay. The reason why I would want to include more than one project is it shows grit. It shows that that you're doing more, that you're not just leaning to that one piece, where it's kind of like, oh, here, check out this one thing that I did, and then you're linking it back to everything. This is kind of why I would much prefer if you had a couple of other portfolio pieces to lean on. It goes into, breadth and depth. So where you're able to show breadth on something that is a little bit more comprehensive, depth on something that you've built more comprehensively, and then breadth on like pieces that you didn't go as deep on, technologies that you maybe just touched on and didn't explore further. But still, like, there was a really good example of someone who applied to a role where they were using these 3D. It was a very front end heavy role, and they were using these really interesting 3D libraries. And for the role, that person actually ended up like just creating some fun applications, like very short ones for the role itself, just to kind of see like what it would be like to create in that library. And they linked it to that role. And they got a callback, right? The whole point of the cover letter is to get their attention, right? You're talking about gaps. Cover letters are really good ways of piquing interest and giving them reasons to connect with you. So cover letters are really all about, hey, I know that maybe my resume is not as strong, but here are some reasons why you should connect with me. So your cover letter it should be a like a power move of like, you know what, like I might not have the strongest resume on the block, but like these are the reasons why you need to reach out to me. And as someone who reviews resumes quite often, when I'm on the fence on a given resume, I'm looking for a cover letter to convince me so I can contact that person. And if I don't see one and I'm like, okay, you applied for a role that I see that you're not qualified for and you haven't given me an explanation, that, why should I invest my time in you? So that's really what the cover letter does. It's an explainer. It's a short explainer into your world, and gives the person more context into your world, and why they should connect with you. So that's my workshop. But I'd love to, again, like I said, really hear from you guys and take a look at your cover letters. Like I said in the event description, I'll be taking live cover letters from you, and hopefully you feel comfortable sharing it with an audience, and hearing some feedback on ways to improve that cover letter. I didn't want to just talk on an abstract level, but I really wanted to make sure to give you guys the right tools for improving, your first step into getting contacted back. Because the way that the hiring funnel, like it's a funnel, right? The first thing that you're doing is you're sending out a bunch of resumes, and they're going into the void, and you don't know, what worked, what didn't work, and why that person didn't contact you. So the first step is to increase that engagement with employers. If that engagement isn't there, then that means that there's something wrong with either your resume or your cover letter. So that approach is off. So that's the first sign that there's some sort of red flag. Either your GitHub activity is too low, or your resume is too weak and it's not conveying value. And then, the next step is the callback, the first callback, or sometimes, they skip that step and send you a test. So then that's the second funnel. And, if you have a callback and you don't move past the callback, that usually means that you failed at the cultural fit level. And there's ways of improving that step of the funnel. And then if you're failing at the technical fit, then that just means that you still need to work on your technical skills, and you still kind of need to work on your coding habits, and make sure that you're practicing every day and you're building more, so that you'll have a stronger technical assessment. But those are the main filters. And the first one is having that connection from them, right? So that's kind of what the cover letter allows you to do. It allows you to have higher engagement from employers. Is anyone feeling comfortable to share their cover letter? It's a very safe space, guys. We're not going to judge. This is about like self-improving. You know, everyone, like, this is, like I said, this is a common cover letter. I see this 9 out of 10 times.
I have a cover letter, but it was for a QA role. But I think I failed the cultural fit because I got a call back and then I didn't go past that stage.
Okay. Okay. Do you know what, do you mind sharing like what happened in terms of, so what kind of questions were asked?
They asked me why would I um God, it was more why should they pick me? It was a question of that nature. And I just I realize now I answered it. I didn't answer it in the best abilities.
Okay. So that's interesting. So that's actually, you're missing your journey. So that's actually less of a cultural fit. So this is actually another thing where people tend to fail often is they don't know their own strengths. So why are you like, are you a recent grad?
Boot camp grad, not college.
Okay, that's fine. There's no difference between, I mean, there is, but it's becoming more and more common in the tech space to, like Monarch, who is the other co-founder. He's, I don't know if you know his journey, but he's self-taught, and he's been in the industry for 10 years, and he's worked on very, very complex structures like banks and various other startups. So there's no such thing that, having a comp sci degree makes you better than being a boot camp grad or being self-taught. It's really about the effort that you put in and the time that you put into coding in your practice. You can't compare yourself to other people's journey. Vijay, I do see your hand up. I just kind of wanted to address this one point and then I'll get back to you. So coming back to the question when the recruiter asked about you. So this kind of goes back into getting them excited about you and telling them your story. So why, what made you, can you tell me about yourself? Putting you on the spot here.
I mean, normally what I say, I usually answer by telling them what I've been doing in the last couple of years. So I say I started self-teaching online. I attended some boot camps, and then I would say something in the nature of I joined every freelance site that I could to try to get experience. I've built some projects, and that's normally how I answer that question.
Okay. So so you started as self-taught, and then you've been building some projects. How do you think you can improve that story?
I don't know, because normally what I would say is, like, they'll ask me, okay, so I had IBM, right? I went to 3 rounds of IBM, and I eventually I didn't get past 1, 2. Yeah, the third round, I didn't make it past the 3rd round. So they would ask me, okay, tell me about yourself. I said, well, I started to learn how to code on my own. And then I was working on an e-commerce site for my sister. She has like an Instagram following, and she wants to sell fitness belts. So I talked to them about how I built that project and why I chose the big cartel e-commerce platform over Shopify. And then they would ask me, I can't remember what they asked me. Yeah, that's usually how I answer the question, but I don't know how to improve it, because I was just a janitor. I don't have like any skills. I don't have a college degree. I never graduated from high school. All I have is just the work that I've been doing the last couple of years. And so I try to focus on that.
Okay. And how long have you been coding?
Been doing it for like 4 years, but on a practical level. So if you ask me some really advanced algorithms, there's no way I can pass those things. But on a practical level, I have a lot of projects.
Okay. So I'd love to actually see your GitHub, and if you're comfortable and maybe like me doing a deeper dive, I'd love to do that. But when employers ask you that "tell me about yourself" question, is really not, they don't really want to hear your personal story. Like, you can definitely talk about, hey, I have a non-technical background. I was a janitor for X number of years. And then, what made you make that pivot into software development? Like, what was that switch that like turned one day and you were like, no, I want to go into this industry? What drove you here? And then really that should be like 30 seconds about like life before you decided to dabble in software development. And then it's really about what happened, since you've been here. What excites you? Like, what projects are you working on? What technologies excite you? And then tell me as much as you can about those technologies, as much as you can about your projects. Hey, I'm building this like really cool editor, and I did it in Python, and then I had to like parse this library in it because I couldn't figure out how to do this. And just, they want to see excitement. They want to see excitement about this field. And that's really what the "tell me about yourself" question is all about. They want to see passion. I think Vijay had his hand up. Vijay?
Hey Navi, I would like to share the cover letter which I sent for Apple Corporation.
Okay. Do you want to share your screen?
Yes.
Perfect. I'm going to.
Can I be able to say it?
Yep. Okay. Do you mind zooming in just a little bit? Okay. So this was your cover letter to Apple.
Yes.
So, dear Jenny, and you knew it was Jenny.
Yeah, actually, in the LinkedIn I found the Apple. So Jenny was one of the people who was she has mentioned they're currently hiring. So I directly pointed to her, and even I sent a direct mail to her.
Okay. So I'm excited to see the current job opening on the front-end developer at Apple advertised on LinkedIn. I was searching for the recruiter and luckily came across your profile to share my resume directly. After working as a software professional for more than a decade, I'm interested in applying for the front-end developer role, either at the Sun Valley, California or Austin, Texas locations. So your that first paragraph, right? Before I kind of even dive deeper, I'm excited to see the current job opening for the front-end developer at Apple advertised on LinkedIn. So you don't necessarily, your cover letter is not about how you've located this job opportunity. It's not, so you don't need to tell them, sometimes like when you're filling out, like when you've registered, for example, for this event, usually on Eventbrite, we have, how did you find us, right? So you don't have to tell the employer of where you found that job. They're not, it's not a feedback survey of like, I found this opportunity on Indeed or Monster or ZipRecruiter or Angel, or like, you don't need to identify how you located that opportunity. You also don't need to go into how you located their profile. So after working as a software developer more than a decade, okay, now you have my interest in that first line, that line out of that whole paragraph. I'm interested in applying. So you've identified that you're looking at 2 locations. After carefully reviewing the key qualification, description, education, experience requirement section, I'm confident that I'm an excellent fit for this position. I have strong, so I would admit that, like, I don't even know if we need that. I have strong practical experiences with HTML5, JS, ES6+, React. I've built a movie app with the features to sign up and view the list of movies on Mernstack where it required attention to detail. I developed a meetup app with features to view a list of upcoming events based on the user location. My expertise in a production support helps me meet and deliver the results on time. The past 8 months of remote work has enriched my responsibility with minimal to zero supervision. I'm comfortable and I can perform the role. Perfect. As a software professional, I have a passion for creating high quality products and inspired by your planet-sized plan to make all products carbon neutral by 2030. I strongly feel that I would actually have included that at the beginning. So, so maybe I would have said something as a software professional who has been, as working as a software professional for more than a decade. I have a passion for creating high quality products. So you want to start with a bang, like cut out the fluff, everything that the academia world teaches about writing letters and you have to have an opening paragraph, like everything. Think about essay writing that we learned back in school, that you're throw that out the window. The cover letter needs to be short and engaging, and you need to get to the point very quickly. When I look at this cover letter, it's a lot. If I have 1,000 applications that I'm reviewing, you haven't made it easy for me to skim this cover letter. It's not skimmable, right? That's what the reality of the recruiter is that they're looking at thousands of applications and your cover letter is not digestible enough. So there's too much fluff in there. There's some good points, but there's also a lot of, it's compacted with fluff. So I have to get past the fluff to look at the actual value that you're saying. So I'd move that last paragraph to the top and really talk about the fact that you actually are inspired by the fact that they want to do carbon neutral, want to make all their products carbon neutral. Class teams with privilege in my career. So instead of saying I strongly feel that being part of a diverse culture and world-class teams will be a privilege in my career, this is a statement that almost everyone could say. Can you relate something about your story of why being on a diverse team is important to you? What about being on a diverse team is valuable to you so that you are aligning with their values? Right now, you're making a very, you're kind of just reiterating a company mission or a company statement that they've published somewhere in deep in their news. So you want to relate this back to I strongly feel. I don't know if you guys can see my screen, but the I strongly feel part, diverse culture, relate that back to you. Why is being a diverse culture so important? So I'd get rid of paragraph 1 completely. I'd get rid of after carefully removing completely. I'd switch that last paragraph, the second last paragraph, to the first to paragraph 1, and then I would break down. So the 2 bullet points that you have, I would actually break them down further. I have strong practical experience with HTML. And here are some example pieces, maybe so where is this strong experience in HTML5 and JS ES6? Where is it with the movie app that you built, or is it from the 10 years of experience?
Well, in the 10 years experience, I was in IBM mainframe technology. So after I completed my boot camp, I'm trying to move some web application development.
Okay. Okay. So so this is like from personal projects.
Yes, it's a
Uh,
boot camp project.
Okay, so I would actually link to that project. I have strong practical experience with said technology. I've built a movie app with the features to sign up and view the list of movies on Mernstack where it required. Built a meetup app. So this is a separate line of I've developed a meetup app to view a list of upcoming events based on the user location on React Incorporate. You can check out my progress here. And also when you're talking about your portfolio pieces, keep it shorter. One of the things that I find when you're talking about your portfolio pieces is talk more about the tech stack than what it does from a user perspective. What tends to happen is I've seen a lot of individuals describe what the application does, but not necessarily talk about what it's built on and what that was like. So I hope that was relevant feedback. I'm gonna go back to the chat because there's a number of chats that are coming in. Vijay, I hope you found that valuable.
Yeah, yes. One question. Is there the word limit in a cover letter you need to restrict?
Yes. Tweet size. Think of it in terms of I'm going to do 3 or 4 max tweets. I would say 3 tweets, but if you really have a lot to say, then 4 tweets. So think of it like if I had to do a Twitter post, like I'm doing a thread, and it's going to be 4 Twitter threads.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Okay, I'm just going to read some of these questions that are coming in chat. So there's no such thing as a stupid question. Found a position if you refer to them. But how important is the more formal formatting that we see here, featuring address in the header and all that, especially when applying through a portal where I'm already put. Honestly, it's not important. Especially if you're applying for through a portal, and if you've given that information in your resume, and addresses are not important in your resume anymore. Nobody, we're all working remotely, unless location is something that has been identified by the employer. You still don't need to tell them where you're located. Like, you don't need to say 1, 2, 3, Forest, Forest Lane, like that is not necessary. So yeah, the formal formatting is definitely that traditional set of cover letter writing. If you don't know the specific names of the hiring managers to whom you can address it to the hiring manager. Or you can address it to the company. Hey, Team Mintbean. So that's a great way if you don't know who the hiring team is. I'm just gonna go back to Shauna. I have a cover letter question. Whenever you get a second, how would you suggest drafting a cover letter for someone who may want to apply for jobs in tech that may be relevant to your past work experience and aren't strictly development roles? I'm someone who completed a web dev bootcamp and currently in a UX design bootcamp, but my background in promotions, project management in the music industry, and I've been opening up my search beyond dev roles to things like technical project manager on the product side of things, and been struggling to bridge my past experience. Okay, that's a really interesting question, because that, even if you're applying to developer roles, I think it's all about, especially with bootcamp grads and individuals who are in software development as a second career, you're really trying to bridge what you did before. Sometimes it's like completely unapplicable, But if it's not, like if you are applying for a product role and you have some sort of development experience, you definitely want to identify that you understand application building, that here are some of your experiences building applications, and that actually makes you a strong contender to be a UX designer. Those are considered unicorns, right? Actually the UX designer that we have is also, she's actually done a 3-month immersive course in software development, but she didn't enjoy it. She ended up enjoying UX more. But the fact that she knows it allows her to comprehend our application better. It allows her to have conversations with the developers on the team. It allows her to see the application in a very different perspective if she didn't have that perspective. So definitely talk about how those things relate to your current role. Hope that answered the question, Shauna. Feel free to unmute yourself, guys. Paul, I know others have said the hiring people usually. I hope I answered everyone's question. I know that someone actually sent me their cover letter, and I'm gonna see if I can open it. I'm having, okay. I'm gonna share my screen again if I can. Okay, so I have someone else who's shared their, sorry, it's like really hard to look at chat and like do all these things. Okay, so Maria sent this. Hello, my name is Maria. I'm a developer and creative who has a zeal for learn and to code. I'm looking for a passionate environment where I can leverage my experience with JavaScript. So I think you mean React, Node, C# and experience with corporate reporting to actively integrate and develop code that impacts its users on a daily basis. To go along with these skills, I also have a deep-seated desire to help other people through the evolving capabilities that lie within the coding world. I would love the opportunity to speak with someone from a software developer position and see how I could be a benefit and support the team. Okay, with everything that I've highlighted, guys, can we maybe give some feedback to Maria on this? What are some of the things that you guys see that might be, that she could be doing a little bit better? Please slice it up. Okay, so Lorraine, the who am I is nice and short, but should be broken off into its own paragraphs. Specific examples of what they've done. Okay, maybe add links to projects using the tech listed in the letter. Okay, nice. Yeah, this is all great feedback. So the one thing that I actually like the length of this cover letter, it's short, it's sweet. But one thing that this cover letter is missing is it doesn't talk about the company at all. So you've just kind of talked about yourself. One of the things that I look for when I'm reviewing resumes is, why does that person want to work for us? We're a small team, so being a startup, it's really important for us to have value alignment with people that come into our organization. And, you know, like, are they looking, are they, and please don't use growth minded. It's overused. It's just one of those things that gets like, you know, I'm growth minded, or I love what you guys are doing. Okay, well, what exactly do you like? Get into the details. Don't be afraid of the details. Like, don't give these vague concepts of, you know, I love your mission. I love your LinkedIn profile. I love your Twitter. Like, what about my Twitter feed? I'm not active on Twitter, guys. What about the things that you found on my personal social or the company social or the company site really spoke to you and you're like, oh man, I would love to work here because I could make a direct impact, and here's how I can make that direct impact. So I think that's the component that's missing in here. Also, I would say that you've identified that you have experience with these technologies and with corporate reporting. But if you actually have more than just experience, portfolio experience, it would be like, where was that experience exactly? What did that corporate reporting look like that impacted its users on a daily basis? So what was the number of users? Quantify some of these things as well. Don't be afraid to, this is what would really kind of like push it over the edge. Like if you say that I made an impact to 1,000 users daily on my corporate reporting. And then here's a link to at Google or at said company. This feels a little bit on the fluff side. So, you talk about deep-seated desire to help others through evolving capabilities that lie within the coding world. So what exactly are you trying to say in this sentence? What is that deep-seated desire? This is fluff. So I want you guys to take a look at your cover letter. Every time you identify something that doesn't quantify, and you're saying something, but it doesn't add value, I want you to get rid of it. You shouldn't be doing a cover letter if it doesn't add value to your resume. Like, just don't do it. Instead, just do the resume. Just spending time on a cover letter should really be about identifying quantitative ways that you can say that, hey, I saw your job description, I saw your company, and here's the reasons that you should hire me. Reason 1, reason 2, reason 3, reason 4. And I'm excited for you to contact me. I would love the opportunity to speak with someone. And so give them ways, right? Yeah, this entire paragraph, I would find ways to quantify it. Actually, I would kind of, if you don't mind me saying, Maria, I'd remove it and find other ways to build rapport and give them more ways that that specific job is important to you and works for you. Okay. All right, guys. I'm at time. I hope this was helpful. I know, again, cover letters it's one of those tough things because you are talking about yourselves, and talking about yourself is definitely one of those like things that nobody enjoys doing. And I'm bad at it too, but I'm not looking for work. So I can I can put that to the side for now. For more tips like this, guys, stay in the community, where I'm more than happy to do a resume review as well and do a resume workshop on what a technical resume should look like. If you all are interested, I'd be happy to do that. Does anybody have any last questions before we leave? I'll take one last question. Thank you, guys. That means a lot. Could I share an example of a good cover letter? So yes, I have actually, I'm trying to find something that I can share that doesn't, so I got this cover letter and it doesn't follow my format, but I still enjoyed it. So there's this one. So I'm an individual who really loves JavaScript. On my second semester at, so this is a new grad. On my second semester at college, I took a JavaScript course and I was really into it. Since then, I decided to be a JavaScript developer and studied more extensive JavaScript such as React, Vue, and Angular. I've been working on many projects related, and there was a spelling mistake. Mostly it was related to API calls to get request response. As we're building an application using JavaScript frameworks or libraries such as Angular and React. I have handled life cycles, routing, component-based design patterns. Guys, this wasn't indicated in his resume. So that's what I really liked about the fact that he, did a callback to how he used APIs. As a front-end developer at company, I mostly maintained features regarding payment cases, search, account, and vehicle. In addition, I've developed plate-by-plate features from scratch, and it was successfully demonstrated to clients. I surely demonstrated my potentials and capabilities at work, and my success at work was recognized and resulted in a raise of, he quantified it with a percent. One thing that his cover letter needed is probably a word check, a spell check. So just make sure that, you know, you do a proof, but this is acceptable. I wouldn't say this is one of the best, but I'm going to try to see if I can find something in my like a vault of resumes and cover letters that I get. I wanted to give you guys a real life example instead of just pulling one from Google, and kind of show you different ways that individuals, you know, bring their creativity to cover letters. And like I said, I didn't want to use one from Google. So if I find one that I really like, I'll post it on the Discord server. Hope that helped. Awesome. Thanks, Eliza. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed that. It was a lot of fun. Hope you feel a little bit more comfortable with cover letters and they're not all like terrible. It's just about, I think the most key important thing out of this workshop is figure out your why you're in software development, what your story is. And that's key number one for good cover letters. And the second thing is why them, right? So why you, why them? And if you have those two whys, then that's a golden cover letter. Perfect. All right. Thanks, guys. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Take care. Bye.